So last weekend I went to Wales to my caravan and I took a book with me. This book, Hedge Druidry, it's absolutely fantastic, and I was reading it and a phrase jumped out at me. This one. It reads, "We need to re-enchant our souls in modern society, and using magic is one of the best ways we can achieve this goal." And that phrase, to re-enchant, just stayed with me all weekend. So I decided to keep a track of how I re-enchant my life. I literally just filmed the things I did over a period of 36 hours and the things that I have around me, and I wanted to share 100 things that I spotted myself doing or using. Most of them are completely free. Where cost is involved, it's absolutely minimal. So, 100 ways to re-enchant your life, filmed over 36 hours. I hope that you enjoy it. So the first way to re-enchant your life is to see the wonder in stones. I look around and I have stones for all sorts of purposes. This was the first hagstone that I ever got given by the Fae, believe it or not. They told me they were going to give it. I've only ever found one. I've got other stones that I heard the call of Deity as I was given them. Of course, there are some crystals here as well. This was £4 in a charity shop, but stones are completely free. A lot of the stones hold things like incense sticks or feathers. This is my balcony outside. A lot of these stones were given to me by my kids. There is that saying that penguins, when they fall in love with each other, they find the best stone on the beach to give the love of their life. My kids over the years have always presented me with stones saying, "Can I be your penguin?" Look, I got totally distracted while filming this. I was trying to sort out stones for a medicine wheel. Stones can spell out words. This says Deity, the name of my caravan, and they can also hold sigils, crossroads or new paths, lines going around depicting cycles. Circles on stones depict hope and magic for me. Then there's the gift of feathers. This links to my deity work. I use it to waft incense around. Black feathers for the Morrigan, white feathers for the healing milk of Bridget. Black and white feathers, my deity combined. You can see it all here on my little altar. Now, fairy lights, if you don't want to keep buying candles, buy fairy lights. And toys as well. You can pick up toys really cheap in junk shops. Here, octopus energy for me. And you can see like a combination of feathers and stones and toys all along this little shelf here. Fairy lights also, I coined a phrase, fairy light therapy. Fairy lights got me through my divorce. I'm not even kidding. And then, talking about divorce, life can sometimes grind the edges off you. I think sea glass is a perfect definition of what life can do to us. Because of that, it's got powerful associations for me to use within magic. So collect sea glass when you see it. Also make flower essences. Flowers and weeds and wildflowers are all around us. With me at the caravan next to found driftwood, I've got my flower essences with me. This is just stuff I've literally got in front of me that I wanted to share. In the storage toy cupboard in the back bedroom at the caravan, there's cheap tea lights. No need for expensive fancy candles. The colour white covers all eventualities. Tea lights are safe as well. Look at this huge bag. Also in here I've got thrifted books ready to read, all linked to my practice, all found for like pennies at the local charity shop. This is a book that I think I spent 20 pence on. I started reading it this week. It's a year-long practice with the spirit of place. It's absolutely fantastic. Also in the cupboard there's these big rolls of paper fantastic for spell work. And craft supplies for art witchery, colour associations, more feathers, pom-poms, PVA glue, essential for art witchery. One of my favourite things is coloured pens, the colour associations that you can put into journaling. I couldn't remember whether I'd got any at the caravan, so I bought my own packet of coloured pens along with my magic stone and a protection eye that I made myself just with scrap beads, scrap fabric, a bit of crochet I made. I can actually wear this as a ring if I feel the need to as well. So stones, scrap fabric, coloured pens for journaling with colour association. You can see these are things that I use all the time and they re-enchant my life. And talking about journaling, no need for really expensive grimoire leather-bound journals. This is just a scrapbook from B&M. It's got my own colour printouts in. I've got scrap papers in here. Doodles are a really magical way as well of enchanting a simple journal. And then I use this unicorn to put things in to charm. And what's so amazing about it is I have a whole army of unicorns just waiting. These were reduced down from £4 each to 10p each, so I cleared the shelf. What I need an army of unicorns for, I haven't quite worked out yet, but the time is coming. Now it's been hot today and I have been using the colour associations of ice cubes. That's another way. And then looking out of the window at the view and the flowers that are coming. Oh, and the crows coming over every time I appear. That's the Morrigan. So birds, the view, things changing in your view, things appearing that are growing like flowers, and clouds as well. You can lie on your back in a field and divine from cloud formations. Also, this stump of a tree, they cut down the tree that was there, is calling for an outdoor altar, and the wind calls as well, the call of the wind. So outdoor altars, listening to the elements. Wildflowers as well. Some may say weeds, absolutely not. Researching and spending time with these flowers. If you have a chimney like this, you've got absolute access to fire magic and fire spells, divining in the flames. And right next to it, these flowers which look like flames themselves. These have just appeared from nowhere. And I just think the symbolism of that next to where I keep the chimenea has a message right there for me. As does this plant opposite, which I didn't plant either and has appeared from nowhere. If this doesn't speak of fire magic, I don't know what does. So the caravan site has got lots of flower symbolism. The rose at the front of the van really supported my heart when I was here broken, and the hydrangeas, especially these blue ones, talk to me of sea magic, whereas the grasses by my caravan steps give me whispers of my goddess work every time I walk past it. Collecting shells as well. I know that some of these things are really linked to being at the sea, but shells are so fabulous as well. Now on a walk this week, on a new walk, we found lots of fallen trees. I have found over time that doing work near fallen trees, it's almost like the gaping wound in the earth gives the tree a loud voice, gives Mother Earth a loud voice. And this tree here, it looked like the Deathly Hallows symbol. There was sacred geometry in it. But I think just remaining curious and turning left where you would turn right, taking a new path, can open up enchantment in lots of different ways. Now the dogs always come to me, I think, when the fae are about. At this point in the woods, they ran back to me and walked each side of me. Also this morning, I put intent in my cream and my lip gloss. My friend noticed. She said, "You're glowing today. You look so different." So, glamour magic, perhaps it works. And every day we get the chance to enchant our day with the sunrise, to get up early and to greet it. On this sunrise walk, look what I found. Handmade sacred space out of driftwood and rocks. Sacred space built like this is just mind-blowing. I loved this so much. And the view, the ocean, water, salt water, or any water, lakes, puddles, tap water. Water is a chance to cleanse and enchant every day. Now, exercise in whatever capacity you can manage it is brilliant for getting the energy moving in your body. That enchants your life. Me and the dog went wild swimming this weekend. The lake was damn cold, but it tunes you into nature like nothing else. Get cold, it works. And when we got back, all exhausted, there was a chance for dream magic. Try recording your dreams. There is real magic to be mined there. Now, this thrifted book, which I showed earlier, has had me doing visualization meditations, bringing light in to heal my third chakra. It's been brilliant. But my normal go-to is journeying meditation, pathworking into tarot cards, or through the portal of a hag's stone. Then there's the magic of scent as well. This oil is my favourite. I draw a hexagram on my wrist every day with it. And enchanted jewellery, to the moon and back is what I say to my kids. I was missing them. And it reminded me to check the moon cycles as well. Just brilliant. I put intent into my lipstick to keep my voice calm out in public. And I brought tarot and oracle with me. This a fantastic cheap way, as long as you don't get carried away buying decks. Bibliomancy is another favourite thing for me to do. I decided to flick to a passage for the day. And it says, the mist was dense in the valley. From here the bones at the base of the falls just looked like trees. No ghosts, no fire. It felt like a quiet place, somewhere to rest. So, mist in the valley. Was the mist outside? Bones at the base of the falls, trees like ghosts, a quiet place to rest. There's no mist there, but bones at the base of the fall. That reminded me of the graveyard opposite. I was going to go and visit the church today after that. But first, the magic of tidying up, visualising protection and cleansing in the bubbles and bringing them into my heart. And then what mug you decide to drink out of. Each of these has got a different magic that I can ingest, and then what to put in them. Is it going to be a magic tea? What you consume is magic as well. So look in your area for all the interesting places to visit, most of them free, like the Library of Wales. And in it was an exhibition about Dylan Thomas and Under Milk Wood. Dylan Thomas and his life and his family, they all fascinate me. His wife Caitlin, where he lived. This was pure magic for me to find.
The beginning at the beginning. It is spring moonless night in the small town. Starless and Bible-blessed, the cobbled streets silent, and the hunched potters and rabbit wood limping invisible down the slow black, crow black fishing boat bobbing sea. The houses are blind as moles see fine tonight in the snouting velvet dingle, or blind as captains kept there in the muffled middle by the puff of the town clock, the shops in morning.
And it gave me a chance for a return visit to this glorious woodcut exhibition and for new images to jump out at me as the most important. I think falling into art and appreciating art can enchant the everyday. As a witch as well, we all know how much we all love books, but utilise libraries. This is the first time I've visited the library at the university. It was incredible. And then finally to that church on the hill. Oh my gosh, it was so much steeper in person, and I parked at the top of the graveyard and had to walk down to the church, and I felt like I needed ropes around me. I loved how I could feel my magic for the day layering, the Bibliomancy coming in, the call to explore. Just wonderful. Of course, graveyards and churches are such a rich resource for story, for magic. I loved it, even if it was a hell of a climb. I was sad to see the graffiti on these gravestones, but graffiti magic is a thing, you know, as is letting the graves speak. I caught my breath because of names again, the same 5 names on the first 5 gravestones. I said to myself, if this happens again, I will be astonished, and I was astonished. In the darker corners of the graveyard, you could possibly collect soil as long as you do it with respect. Now you get to know the land spirits by finding the twists and turns of your locality, visiting buildings, finding out about the history of them. In this church it felt very claustrophobic. It felt like rich white Christian men in here. A Celtic cross just looked like a goddess had been removed. I felt like there was a goddess spirit here. Look, a stolen doorway from Strata, Florida up the road. So I headed back up the mountain of this graveyard, and at the top found a secret entrance into a woodland. Is this where the goddess of the church resides? I stepped through and time slowed down. I felt like I was wading through soup. This was liminal space indeed. And there, white, stark white silver birches, the ghosts of trees mentioned in the Bibliomancy. This place, my mind was blown. I actually said to myself, oh look, those trees look like ghosts, and then remembered the Bibliomancy. 2 trees either side of a pathway, a portal through. I felt like I'd stepped into the other world. I really did. It was a little woodland to nowhere with a circular path running around it. Nowhere to go in here, apart from up a bank if you were willing to climb. I was willing to climb. This place felt like pure magic. The stifling claustrophobia of the church gone, now pure goddess energy around me, but definitely liminal space. I felt like I'd been removed. The air was still. The sounds of the town had dissolved. This was a quiet place, again mentioned in the Bibliomancy. I couldn't believe it. I clawed my way up this little bank here with stingers, wondering what I'd find at the top, and found a pathway to nowhere, an absolute oasis of nature. Look at this place. Look, a dead end, nowhere to go, but a pathway. My heart was so full. I celebrated the unexpected. So get curious, explore your location, meet the land spirits. For me, this pathway I decided was my goddess walk pathway, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Definitely a pathway to walk for a walking meditation perhaps, or to bring offerings. It would be a place that I definitely will be returning to again. I think nature walking and turning right where you would turn left and being curious can open up magic like this. It literally felt like I'd stepped into another world, a parallel universe, another time and place, and I was willing to follow the butterflies wherever they led. If ever there was a time where I was at risk of being stolen away by the Fae, then this was it. Undisturbed buddleia bushes had grown tall and made natural arches to walk under. Goddess energy and Fae energy were all around, in every wildflower and in every next turn of this most secret of paths. And it just kept going, a oasis in the middle of a busy seaside town, a quiet place, just full of pure magic and beauty. I was completely overwhelmed, and look, at the very end, heralding the end of the path like they did the start, white silver birch, those ghosts as trees. Let me remind you what the passage from the Bibliomancy said. The mist was dense in the valley. From here, the bones at the base of the falls just looked like trees. No ghosts, no fire. It felt like a quiet place, somewhere to rest. The path was my somewhere to rest. Once I'd got past that second lot of ghostess trees, we appeared out on a simple road leading to a house. I turned back round on the path and just gave so much thanks. I think gratitude for these magic moments is also a lovely way to enchant your day. When I walked back, I couldn't even find out how I'd got onto the path. I felt like I'd been sealed into the other world until I spotted where my footsteps had crushed the grass down. It looked so much steeper going this way. Oh my gosh. And as I slid down the slope, I spotted a pine tree. Had that even been there before? I don't think it had even been there. It's like it magically appeared. I asked if I could take a pine cone, and a really clear voice came through saying, "I will give you a pine cone later on the floor." I made a mental note to research pine cones and to return. So listen to those whispers, do your research around them if something comes up, and return to these places of magic. I stepped back through the portal and felt like I was coming out of the liminal space. I really did feel like time had slowed. It was incredible. And back out into the normal world where magic isn't quite so thick in your lungs and in your mind. Wow, that was amazing. The Bibliomancy had told me to expect it. The goddess, the land spirit here, had led me to this place. Look, back to normality here and back to my car. I was going to return to that place, and I think returning to a locality over and over lets you know it so well. Like this field where I walk my dogs numerous times a day, I know the 3 crows that live here, and they roost between the hawthorn tree and the elm tree. I've really connected with this hawthorn in the shape of a heart and lungs. I just think the shape of this tree is so magic, and I've held on to that long shape many a time walking the dogs back up the slope to the caravan and struggling as my fitness levels have declined. It feels like the shape of the hawthorn is calling me on. I've got to know the flowers here. I know that grass like starwort grows here. I know the thistles at this time of the year come in abundance. I know that beneath the hawthorn, cuckoo pint grows at certain times of the year. I know that clover stays underfoot even when it's been mowed, and I know that when it has been mowed, red kites come down. I pick up other people's dog poo here to look after the field because I love it so much. But if you're in the town surrounded by buildings, look up, look at chimney pots for inspiration. And do you remember that message about the pine cones? I got given a pine cone coming back from the walk. I've never seen pine cones on the floor at the caravan park before. That went on my altar. Later that night, I got a really cheap little notebook out to write down all the magic. That's important too. And also listening to people's stories. Now, this was the sunrise dog walk. And I met a lady walking a black Labrador, and she told me a story that a few months ago her dad had died. She'd felt adrift, missing her dad and watching him die. The week he died, she came on a walk down on this beach, and she thought there was a beached whale on the beach. When she went to investigate with her dog, it wasn't a beached whale at all, but bags and bags and bags of cocaine. Later that week, on a second walk at Innislas Beach, she found a second haul. The police couldn't believe the same woman had found it and told her to put a coat over it and sit on it because drug dealers were looking for it. She was sitting on £90 million worth of drugs. She found it twice. But I think that was a message from her dad. She told me she'd felt adrift and lost, and the drugs had become adrift and lost from the bottom of a ship that they'd been hidden on. The synchronicity there was huge. But she told me this story standing next to this bench, and I felt like it gave me pause to sit and connect with my dad. It felt like a message from my dad too, a chance to pause. This will now be his bench. I've called it the coat rack because he would stand on the beach and hold all our coats because he was scared of the water. When we pause and hear these messages and stop consuming, all things can expand and open up. And of course, sunsets. I'm going to share this sunset, the best I've ever seen in my lifetime, on the beach where the coat rack seat is. But sunsets and sunrises, every day we get this chance for magic. I think sunrise and sunset walking is spectacular. Later on, I took the dogs for a walk. Nighttime walking can open up all sorts of new magic, reverse cloud watching, or returning to the same location at different times of the day or seasons. This is the field I walked earlier. I sat on the grass and stargazed and listened to the sounds of the night. I looked for the moon, but I couldn't see it anywhere. It was too cloudy. But the night sounds were entertaining. Is it fun? Come on then, let's get down a bit. And of course, if you go back to familiar locations at night, you get to meet a whole new array of animals. This field is full of bats at night. They fly around my caravan and give constant entertainment. Just another fantastic animal in the location to connect with. At the end of the day, a nighttime shower, you can visualise all of your troubles washing down the drain. I also at the caravan treat myself to fancy soap from the art centre. That brings in herbal magic. Also washing my hands and feet. I know this sounds odd, but I often repeat wash my hands and feet for energy flow. Setting up my bags ready to leave the next day makes me feel organised. Sending out good night messages to my kids is a bit of love to send out. Stretching out my body to keep the energy moving, especially at my age, is important. Saying your prayers and thanks and gratitude if you want as well. And then the magic of cosy. Throws and fluffy socks can incorporate animal energy or the woodland with patterns. And that's it, guys. A day and a half of magic chasing and re-enchanting my life. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me, and may your days be magical.